Yo, what is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be doing episode number 1 of Start, Build, Cut, which is basically where I'm going to be telling y'all which card I would start, which card I would bench, and which card I would cut on my squad in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM based on y'all's suggestions. I did put a tweet out about this series last night, and if I do future episodes, we'll see how this one goes. If it does really poorly, I may not do future episodes, but if it does decently well on views and stuff, I'll probably keep it going. And be on the lookout for a tweet about this, just like I tweet about I build your teams on Twitter on Friday nights. This could be at any time throughout the week, but be on the lookout for a tweet about this series and respond if you want your start, bench, cut options to be in the video. Would also really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe if you haven't already. Help me push towards the 14,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I'm uploading every single day, and I would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. So without further ado, we're going to start off with this first one coming in from my boy Crab, who's a comp player. He's got Brandon Roy, Devin Booker, and Tracy McGrady. I have to say, my answer for start, bench, cut on this one specifically changes depending on who the point guard is. If you're using a defensive PG, Jason Kidd, Chris Paul, somebody like that, I would say your best option is going to be an offensive shooting guard. The best offensive shooting guard of these three is Devin Booker. He's got the best movement, with his push cross being really, really good. His fade is the best fade in the game, in my opinion. I don't honestly know if it's close. His fade is ridiculous. So Devin Booker, for running the offense, is absolutely absurd. He's the best offensive card of these three. So if you're using a defensive shooting guard, your best option is going to be D-Book. But in most lineups, I think if you're using Kyrie Irving, like a lot of people are, Steph Curry maybe, even a budgeter offensive point guard who's not a defensive point guard, your best option is going to be Brandon Roy. He's also free. He's a very hard card to get. It's a timely grind, but it's a time-consuming grind, I should say. But if you have the card, he's one of the best shooting guards, probably the best overall shooting guard in the game, and I think he fits the best next to most point guards. In terms of start, bench, cut, I would probably go Brandon Roy start, Devin Booker off the bench, and Tracy McGrady cut. And the reason I say T-Mac cut is because this T-Mac set to complete costs. How much does T-Mac cost? Over 500,000 MT. He is super duper expensive to lock in. And while he is a great card, he's also not an incredible defender. Does have a big player build at 6'8", and I do think that helps him out defensively. And I do think T-Mac is a really good card. But without speed booster, without defensive badges, things like that, I think T-Mac is a tiny bit limited as a card, whereas Brandon Roy can get every badge. A little bit better defensive card than Tracy McGrady. I think he's just a guy that I would take overall. And then D-Book for the offensive value. Plus, he's not as expensive to lock in. I'd start B-Roy, bench T-Mac, bench D-Booker, and cut T-Mac if I was picking between those three. AD, Hakeem, and Bosh at the 5. All right. This one, honestly, I don't think is very hard, but I like all of these cards. They all give you something kind of different. AD gives you really, really good defensive ability, plus the ability to stretch the floor, some decent speed, and some quality all-around versatility. Hakeem gives you great interior defense, amazing rebounding. He's going to be the best rebounder and interior defender of this group in all likelihood. Maybe the best interior offensive card either. But he doesn't give you a ton of shooting, can only hit a mid-range, can't hit a 3-ball, and isn't crazy fast with only 63 speed, which is 9 slower than AD and like 18 slower, 17 slower than Chris Bosh. And then Bosh is probably the best overall card of the three. He can get every patch upgrade. He's got an 85 3-ball, 80 speed. It still defends pretty well. Has silver anchor on his base card. It can be upgraded like all his other badges are. Bosh's release is a little weird this year. It's kind of like J.R. Smith's, where it's been slowed down a bit, and it's a little bit more challenging, I'd say, than it was last year. It's still a good release, though, and he's, in my opinion, the best of these options. If I was picking between these three, I would go start Chris Bosh, bench AD, cut Hakeem. I just don't think Hakeem, without the ability to shoot, is nearly as good as a Bosh or an AD at center. Kyrie, Curry, Kidd at the 1. Those are the 3 best point guards in the game, in my opinion. Jason Kidd gives you so much value on the defensive end of the court. I've actually been running Jason Kidd and Devin Booker over a Kyrie and Dr. J or Vince Carter duo off my bench, something along those lines. And I've been doing that because I love the defensive value of a Jason Kidd. And I think him having such good defense at the PG position allows me to run a guy like Devin Booker, who's so incredible offensively, who I love as a card. But the best of this group, the start option is Steph Curry, I do believe. One thing that did disappoint me about the Steph card, that even Chris Bosh can get every badge upgraded, but locking in Steph Curry can't get every badge upgraded, which is a little disappointing because I would have loved to add quick first step on him, or sorry, speed booster, upgrade that, and then I would have liked to get clamps, glove, interceptor, some defensive badges on the card as well, which would have really helped him out. But 88 speed and excel with shoe boost, you're going to get that into the 90s. Can't really dunk particularly well, but he can dunk technically. He's just not going to dunk often. But defensively, he's not bad. He's got a higher interior than Kyrie as well. I think Curry is an amazing card. He's got one of the best releases in the game. The Curry base might be the best base for guards in my team right now, or in Pro-Am right now as well. It's one of the best bases in the game. His upper's great. Very, very fast release. Dribble moves are really, really good as well. He's got incredible movement. Curry slide, nice behind the back. Elite size up, escape. Size up is good as well. Everything about this card is amazing. He doesn't have the best dribble style, which is Kyrie, but outside of that, Kyrie doesn't really have anything on Steph as a ball handler outside of the dribble style, which is super nice, and it's so nice to have that elite dribble style. He's like the only card in the game, at least that's usable, that has Kyrie dribble style, which is the best dribble style in the game right now. But I do think overall, I mean, Jason Kidd defensively makes this close, but I think as an overall card, Kyrie is better, even though I am using Jason Kidd over Kyrie, and I think Curry is the best. So it's got to be Curry start, Kyrie bench, and then Kidd cut for this one. D-Book, Korver, Mullin, start Devin Booker. That is not debatable. Korver and Mullin is a little bit more debatable depending on what you're looking for at the shooting guard position, but Devin Booker is your starter. He is so much better overall as a card than these two guys are because he has decent speed. Both of them speed are in the 60s. D-Books is at least at about an 80, which isn't incredible, but his fade is amazing. He's an elite level shooter like these two guys are, but does so much more as an overall playmaker and even a little bit more as a defender or something like that than you're going to get out of a guy like Korver. Korver's the glitchiest shooter in this game right now, and I think that might include Steph and might include D-Booker. His release is stupid, and he's got the Curry slide, so he is one of the most brain dead cards in my team, and people definitely try to abuse Kyle Korver as a card. Also has an amazing fade and just another incredible card. He is an absolute dog on the offensive end of the court because he's got the Curry slide. His release and his fade are so good. With that being said, he does nothing else on the court besides shoot the ball. People love this Kyle Korver card offensively, and for good reason, but 65 speed, 65 interior, 64 lateral, 73 perimeter isn't good, but that perimeter defense is not as important of a stat. I mean, he does absolutely nothing pretty much outside of shoot the ball. Does have bailout, break start, I guess, and unpluckable, so there's something. He's better than Chris Mullin, though. I think Chris Mullin doesn't have the crazy glitchy release that Korver has. He's a little bit quicker than Korver, a little bit better all-around defender than Korver, just a little bit more versatile as a card, but his release isn't as OD. I don't think I'd take the Mullin over Korver, so for me, gonna have to go Devin Booker as the starter, Korver off the bench, and Mullin cut, just like you have it set up. Got a few more here. Bosh, Shaq, AD. We basically already did this one with Bosh, AD, and Hakeem. I don't think Bosh or AD are better than Shaq, although I will say there are moments where I consider playing AD and Bosh over Shaq at my center position down the stretch because I get irked at Shaq's inability to shoot. Playing with an inside can be frustrating. If you're playing against a good defensive player or somebody who is doing a good job of containing Shaq, it can get frustrating having Shaq on the court and not being able to space the floor and not running a pick and not being able to run a pick and pop or rim run with any other players because they can paint sit off of Shaq. So it can be frustrating to have Shaq in the game. You have to know how to use him effectively as an inside and involve him in the offense in every single possession to make him as effective as possible. With that being said, 87 speed at 7'1" with the 7'7" wingspan, 325 pounds, the biggest player build among any viable center in the game, in addition to 95 plus rebounding, dunking, defense, all those types of stuff. Incredibly versatile in the perimeter, incredibly fast. He is the best card in the game still, despite being an inside center in my opinion, because he's so much better than all these other cards. So for me, it's start Shaq, bench Bosh, cut AD. Now, last one, we got a few here. Booker, B-Roy, and Dr. J at the 2. In my opinion, these are probably the 3 best shooting guards in my team. I would take Brandon Roy start. Off the bench between Booker and Dr. J is so hard because Dr. J gives you a lot more defensively and is still a capable shot creator, but he doesn't have the shot making ability of Booker. I think Booker offensively is just absolutely incredible. I would actually take Booker. My opinion keeps shifting on this Devin Booker card to make him better and better on my list because of how glitchy he is. I'm going B-Roy start, Book off the bench, Dr. J cut. I think that's what I would go. Pippen, Marion, and Hill at the 3. I think Scottie Pippen is probably the best 3 in the game. Marion and Hill is kind of close. I would take Pippen start. I'll say that right now because he's 6'8", because he's an elite defender, has Hoff clamps, Hoff challenger, 2 amazing defensive badges, incredible perimeter defender, super athletic with 86 speed, and very capable dunker. Obviously, Grant Hill and Marion are both pretty fast and can dunk the ball well as well. Grant Hill, not an incredible shooter, but does have a nice smooth release and really good all-around defensive playmaking and finishing badges. Very fast at small forward, very athletic as well. I like this Grant Hill card. I think at small forward specifically, which is where I assume you're doing these rankings, I would take him over Sean Marion. When you compare these two cards, honestly, it is very, very close. In my small forward rankings that I did a few days ago, I do believe I had Grant Hill at 3, and I think I had Sean Marion at 4. Grant is a bit quicker than him. He's a better ball handler and passer, obviously. Defensively, they're pretty close, although Sean is better on the interior. Post moves favor Sean Marion, but that's not that important for me. Shooting-wise, also pretty close. I like Grant's release better than Sean's, so that kind of cancels out any small differences that might be there. I would lean Grant Hill because of the speed and because of the shooting, the improved release, in my opinion. I don't think the plus 14 interior from Marion is quite enough to make a huge difference. So I would go start Pippen, cut Sean Marion, and then bench Grant Hill. And then finally, for Bosh, AD, and Kemp at the 4 specifically, I think Bosh or AD should play the 5. And I'm going to say something. I think this is a little bit of a hot take. I actually think Sean Kemp is better than Anthony Davis at the 4 because Sean Kemp is faster than Anthony Davis for one, and his release is absolutely phenomenal. He's hyper athletic, dunks everything around the rim, and still rebounds and defends very capably. He doesn't feel like a liability compared to Anthony Davis as a rebounder or a defender. AD is better, but not by an absurd amount. At the 4 specifically, where I think the interior defense that AD provides is a little bit less important, I would start Bosh still because I do think he's the best of the 3, the best shooter of the 3, the fastest of the 3, the most versatile of the 3, the only one of the 3 that can get every badge. So I would still start Bosh, but I would off the bench go Sean Kemp, and I would cut AD, which I think is a hot take that I think a lot of y'all might not agree with. But with that being said, that is going to be the last start bench cut for this video. Let me know what y'all think of this concept in the comments below. If there's anything you'd like me to do different about it, if y'all want to see this series continue in the future. And if y'all did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.